In this compilation, we've gathered some fascinating incidents that occurred on the roads and with various vehicles. You'll witness dramatic crashes with explosions in the middle of highways, dangerous police chases, humorous moments that happen to drivers, extreme stunts straight out of video games, and even the transportation of a 400-ton house. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Are you ready? Then let's go! This accident occurred on the Indonesia's road. A truck overturned, blocking the passage. As a result, a significant traffic jam consisted of dozens of motorcycles and cars formed at the scene. They were waiting for the road to be cleared and the passage to reopen. Some were observing the situation. Many locals came to see the accident. Unfortunately, the fate of the driver is unknown. We hope he only suffered a few bruises and wasn't seriously injured. The same can't be said though about the truck. The windows in the cab were shattered, possibly by the driver himself using a metal pipe lying nearby to escape. The metal container fell off the platform and was deformed. There were also many people on the other side of the road. The police arrived at the scene to investigate the circumstances of the accident and manage the traffic. Since the truck almost completely blocked the road, some motorcyclists tried to squeeze through the narrow passage. A significant traffic jam persisted until specialized equipment could remove the obstacle. If you're thinking of driving on off-roads and challenging mountain roads, it's better not to do it in a regular car. The Manali Spiti Highway in India runs through mountain terrains. In bad weather, when the roads get washed out, it becomes a real problem for ordinary vehicles. This car is struggling to navigate the rocky path, and it even lost a tire. The driver is trying to accelerate, but with little success. Just look at how dirty the car is. The driver probably regrets having chosen this route. Local drivers sometimes manually fill the largest potholes with stones from the roadside so that cars can pass. Traffic jams are a real test of patience for many drivers. On some roads in big cities and metropolises, you can spend a considerable amount of time during rush hour. This is accompanied by constant noise, honking, and exhaust fumes. Just look at this traffic jam. It stretches for several kilometers. There are thousands of cars, and all lanes are occupied. After experiencing such a traffic jam, driving on a completely empty road becomes a true pleasure. At night, when there are no cars around and only the streetlights illuminate the way, you can really feel the vibe. You can turn on your favorite music and enjoy the tranquility. This accident looks like a scene from an action movie on a high-octane thriller. It was captured by a surveillance camera on one of the highways. The driver of a fuel tanker lost control of the vehicle. The truck crashed through the guardrail and veered into oncoming traffic, and at that moment the tanker overturned and exploded. It continued to slide for dozens of meters due to its high speed, leaving a trail of flames behind. Several cars were caught in the path of the burning truck before it finally came to a stop. A massive fire broke out and the truck blocked the road. This is a horrific car crash in which many people were injured. The driver of this SUV seems capable of driving anywhere. He's descending an obstacle over 2 meters high. It's unclear whether this is an obstacle in his path or if he's participating in a competition, tackling a tough course, but it looks truly impressive. He carefully descends and the vehicle nearly goes into a vertical position. The front end dips into a puddle. It might seem like the vehicle is about to flip over, but everything ends well. After heavy rain in California, a landslide occurred on one of the roads. This driver captured the moment when a portion of the road collapsed. A large section of asphalt and tons of soil slid down the slope. It's fortunate that drivers noticed the crack in the road and alerted the emergency services. Rescuers and the police blocked the road and ensured that no one was harmed. In this video, a man encounters none other than Captain America on a motorcycle. He's probably on his way to another battle with Red Skull or to help the Avengers. Other drivers were thrilled. It's not every day, after all, that you see something like this on the road. When the man on the motorcycle noticed he was being filmed, he even saluted the passing driver. This chase took place in Queens. A New York Police Department car was driving alongside a motorcyclist, signaling him to pull over to the side of the road. At one point, the officer tried to get ahead of the motorcyclist to block his path. However, the violator maneuvered around the police car. At one point, they even tried to nudge the motorcycle, but they didn't succeed. The car isn't as maneuverable as a motorcycle after all. At one moment, the motorcyclist simply turned onto a side road and escaped the pursuit. The police decided not to continue the chase. It's likely that the offense wasn't serious enough to warrant a large-scale pursuit and endanger others, so they moved on. What do you think? Did the police make the right decision? Share your thoughts in the comments below. A driver on the roadside was lucky enough to witness a police chase firsthand. The man filming it started shouting with excitement. At some point, it seemed like he was louder than the sirens. A funny incident on the road. A quarrel broke out between drivers, and they decided to stop and settle in with their fists. But take note of how a short, skinny man steps out of a large pickup truck, while a muscular man steps out of a small red car in front. The latter didn't waste any time. He lifted his opponent and threw him into the trunk. Never underestimate people in small cars. Near Norwalk this May, a tanker truck carrying fuel was involved in an accident on the highway, resulting in a massive fire. A large pillar of fire and smoke could be seen from many kilometers away. Several fire brigades arrived at the scene. The fuel had spread over a large area, even spilling onto the opposite lane. The fire ignited in mere seconds, and the pillar of fire continued to grow. Since some fuel might still be in the container, there's a risk of an explosion, so firefighters are working very cautiously. Traffic was completely paralyzed, causing a significant traffic jam. Many drivers got out of their cars to take a closer look at the fire. A dangerous accident occurred in Balochistan, where a bus had its roof blown off and its body severely damaged. Eyewitnesses captured it as it turned. There was only the driver and another person inside. All the windows were shattered and the body was heavily dented, with much of the paint scraped off. It's hard to believe it could still be running after that. Unfortunately, the cause of the incident is unclear from the video. The bus may have collided with a large obstacle or been caught in a rock slide or a rain of boulders. The driver and passengers of another bus moving in the opposite direction were stunned and shocked by what they had seen. Some even leaned out of the door to get a better look. Despite the accident though, the bus driver remains optimistic, even smiling at other drivers. How is it even possible for the bus to keep going when half the driver's cab is missing? In the Parsan Valley of Pakistan, there is a very dangerous road through rocky mountains. It runs along a steep cliff, with only a few centimeters separating vehicles from the edge in some places. This road is a nightmare for tourists as it's carved into the cliffs. One mistake could cost a driver and passenger their lives. But this doesn't deter local drivers who regularly pass through. Watching the video, it seems like the road could crumble at any moment, sending the vehicle tumbling down. In some sections, only one car can pass, so sometimes vehicles have to reverse for over a kilometer to let others pass. These guys are definitely inventive. Just look at how they've customized this car. Or rather, half of it. Instead of normal rear wheels, they've attached small shopping cart wheels. And check out those super comfy seats inside, a flip chair and some sacks. A guy nearly lost his life. A truck overturned ahead and he had just seconds to swerve off the road at high speed, barely grazing the semi. Thanks to his quick reflexes, he survived. This police chase happened on one of the roads in Poland. The police were pursuing a suspicious vehicle that had fled during a routine traffic check. The criminal skillfully evaded capture, endangering other road users. He drove through green areas, jumped from one road to another, and managed to escape each time the police tried to stop him. Initially, he was pursued by a single police van and another car with flashing lights. Later, another police van joined the chase. The criminal's car was eventually trapped, surrounded by the police and another van that blocked the crossing. The officers thought they had him and began exiting their vehicles to make the arrest. But just as they were about to, a white van moved and unblocked the road. The fugitive managed to slip away, almost escaping justice. The police quickly returned to their vehicles and resumed the pursuit. The chase continued along a road by the forest until the criminal veered onto the shoulder to escape on foot. More prepared officers chased him down and caught him a few dozen meters from his car. It turned out the 41-year-old fugitive had been on the police's radar before. This time he was driving a stolen car from Germany and was banned from driving. He had previous convictions for drug offenses and is now behind bars. This wild duck decided not just to race, but to do it at a full speed alongside the trucks. Look at how it's zooming over the road. It definitely knows how to grab attention and impress with its speed. This Jeep is clearly returning from anything but the best trip of its life. The windshield is shattered, the doors won't close, and the body is falling apart before your eyes. But even with such damage, it's still tackling rough terrain and shallow water. No wonder these vehicles are chosen for extreme adventures. SUVs boldly cross a suspension bridge over a raging river, but even just looking at this bridge makes your heart race. I don't know about you, but I'd think twice before getting into a car at that moment. The bridge looks unreliable. It sways under the weight of the vehicle, some planks are in poor condition, and some are nearly missing. But this doesn't stop the group of tourists who've decided to test their luck. Inside the SUV, you can see people filming this dangerous moment on their phones. The vehicle slowly starts onto the bridge, which isn't even attached to the cliff but just hangs by cables. The SUV cautiously moves forward, supporting every move, while another vehicle prepares to face the challenge. On the other side, a group that has already crossed a bridge awaits them. It's a real adventure for the brave, and fortunately, it ends well. This truck looks like a little bird trying to take off. The wind catches two poorly secured lids from trash containers, making them look like tiny wings. It's a funny sight. The main thing is that they don't fly off and damage other vehicles. A truck was delivering a wind turbine blade, but something went wrong. The vehicle didn't make it across the railway crossing in time. A train struck part of the propeller, breaking it. The truck overturned from the impact. Thankfully, there were no casualties, but the damage was significant. In this extreme sport, drivers in off-road vehicles tackle extraordinary obstacles and climb steep hills. However, one driver couldn't handle it. He nearly made it to the top, but the vehicle started rolling back down, flipping several times before ending up at the base of the hill. Onlookers rushed to help him and pull him out of the car. The driver of this bus clearly got confused and ended up driving on the wrong side of the road on a bridge. Instead of continuing straight, he tried to turn around, but it wasn't easy for a bus of that size. It took him several minutes. While he was making the turn, a traffic jam of dozens of cars started to form. Only motorcyclists could get through. Finally, the driver pulled over to the side of the road, probably to figure out what to do next. This truck was driving with its trailer raised and hit a bridge. It was moving at high speed, so the impact was tremendous. The cargo section was ripped off, and the truck continued to move for several dozen meters. The metal support remained intact, but the truck was destroyed. It's unclear why the driver didn't lower the trailer. Maybe he just didn't notice after unloading, or he intended to drive that way but misjudged the height of the obstacle. Unfortunately, none of the other drivers warned him about the raised ramp or stopped the truck. A creative grill can be made from a cool supercar. Someone decided to grill chicken using the flames shooting out of the exhaust. Admittedly, it looks impressive, but it's unlikely he'll manage to cook the chicken that way. Surveillance cameras captured an accident at a roundabout. A car speeding into it flew into the air like a rocket. The car jumped several meters, disintegrating in midair and damaged several other parked cars on the side of the road. A truck driver was calmly driving down the highway. Nothing hinted at danger, but suddenly a small car flew out right in front of the truck. It likely tried to overtake, but crashed into the truck during the maneuver. In a split second, the car started flipping and rolling onto the shoulder. The truck driver reacted instantly, slamming on the brakes, but the truck continued to move by inertia. The small car ended up in a vertical position until it finally stopped on the side of the road. Pay attention to the truck driver's emotions captured by the dashcam. Shock turned to surprise at the situation as he threw up his hands, trying to comprehend what just happened. Did you dream of having a small car to ride around in as a child? This man clearly fulfilled the dream of many boys. Just look at this tiny car. But despite its size, it's zipping down the road at a decent speed, and how did a full-grown man ever fit in there? This man came up with a unique way to entertain himself. He climbed into a shopping cart from the supermarket and grabbed onto the rear bumper of a fuel tanker. Now he's speeding along at a breakneck pace, and it's pouring rain. Never try this, as it's extremely dangerous. If the cart's wheels break or if the man loses his grip, a disaster could happen. At best, this might end in some injuries. These guys lost a wheel, but it's no problem for them. They creatively used a rolling platform and placed their car on it. Surprisingly, the setup works perfectly. They'll definitely make it to the nearest service station. They're even having fun and waving at other drivers who are filming this engineering solution. A Tesla is driving down a flooded road. Water is pouring out from every crevice and the trunk, almost as if the car is spitting it out. I don't think Tesla has this feature. What do you think? Write your thoughts down in the comments. After heavy rains, a landslide occurred on one of the hills. Tons of soil began sliding down. By coincidence, a train was passing by the slope at that moment. Maybe the noise and vibrations triggered the landslide. Tons of soil hit the train cars with great force, causing the train to derail. Several containers being transported on platforms were crushed and destroyed. As you can see, they turned out to be empty. Fortunately, no one was injured. A dashcam captured an unusual event on the road. Notice the white car crossing the double solid line. Something happened, and there was a powerful explosion underneath it. The blast was so strong that the car was lifted several meters into the air. It flipped over and landed a few meters away. Fortunately, no other cars were damaged. This is why it's important to keep your car in good technical condition. A taxi driver caused a minor accident on the road, damaging the rear bumper of the car in front of him. Witnesses noticed that he was intoxicated. The taxi driver decided to flee the scene of the accident, but it would have been better if he hadn't. Due to his carelessness, he got into a more serious accident. Another car crashed into him, causing severe damage. You could say this is instant karma, but because of this driver's actions, another driver and their car were also harmed. This guy is clearly a fan of video games. He decided to recreate a very dangerous stunt and drive under a truck trailer. All this happened while the truck was moving at high speed. The driver slowly maneuvered under the trailer. One small mistake, and this could have cost him his health or even his life. Once under the truck, he continued driving under it for a while before finally exiting. Just imagine what could have happened if the truck driver had braked. So, this is definitely something that shouldn't be tried in real life. Dangerous stunts belong in video games. A driver decided to take a shortcut across an old suspension bridge. He drove onto the platform. The bridge began to sag under the weight of the car and sink toward the water. When the car reached the middle of the bridge, it sagged so much that the car started dipping into the water. At that moment, the cables couldn't bear the weight and snapped. The car ended up in the water and began to sink. Let's hope the driver and passengers are okay. During a bike race, dozens of cyclists were riding on a wet track. One of the participants fell, causing several others to crash into him. Notice how several dozen of other athletes reacted to this incident. They fell on purpose to avoid causing more serious injuries or harming anyone else. At first glance, it might seem like they also slipped on the wet track, but the cyclists reacted instantly. However, some simply slowed down to avoid the dangerous section. In Montenegro, a crane was being transported to lift a new meteorological radar. However, the location where it was to be placed was on a steep slope with a dangerous dirt road. On one of the sharp turns, the crane slowed down to maneuver, but due to the enormous weight of the crane, a small landslide occurred and the vehicle, weighing tens of tons, plummeted down the slope. Several photographers and camera operators who were there to film the installation of the weather station could only grab their heads in disbelief. Fortunately, the crane operator was unharmed. He only received a few bruises. An excavator was called in to lift a pickup truck that had sunk into a body of water. At first, everything was going well, but then the excavator moved a few meters forward and began to sink into the water itself. It lost balance and the pickup truck fell back into the water. To make things worse, the excavator's bucket damaged the pickup. In India, where over 1 billion people live, trains are the main means of transportation. But it's far from the most comfortable and safest option, as the trains are usually overcrowded by many times their capacity. Notice this train that is covered with passengers. Those who couldn't fit inside are clinging to handrails, hanging from windows and doors, and riding on the roof. This horrifying sight has become completely normal for locals. Another train arriving at the station could be called empty. Notice how dozens of people are running after the still-moving train to get a better spot inside and avoid traveling on the roof. Would you risk taking a breezy ride on a train roof? Write your thoughts down there in the comments. Several vehicles ended up off the road, falling off a cliff. It's unclear why this happened. Perhaps there was a landslide causing the parked trucks to start falling. One of the trucks landed on its wheels with its trailer lifted. Moments later, another truck fell, but less carefully. It flipped onto its side, hitting another truck. Workers are just walking around and filming this on their phones because there's nothing they can do. It's interesting to wonder how they'll get them back up. This truck driver managed to squeeze through and pass a line of oncoming trucks. He must be a true professional, as he skillfully avoided an accident. At first glance, this road seems to lead nowhere, but in fact, it runs under Lake Dushu in Suzhou, China. Cars first cross a long bridge and then enter an underwater tunnel. The underwater part of the 6-lane road stretches for 3.3 kilometers. A fuel tanker caught fire on a Brazilian road. The incident occurred in July on the highway between Paragominas and Uliápolis in Pará. Traffic was immediately halted and firefighters were called. The tanker resembled a slowly burning torch. A fire truck was parked just a few meters from the burning tanker. Meanwhile, dozens of drivers and passengers on both sides of the road watched the fire, seemingly at a safe distance, calmly filming the blaze. The firefighters were walking around their truck, setting up equipment and preparing to extinguish the fire. Some of them got very close to the tanker, while others stayed on the opposite side of the fire truck, using it as a protective barrier. The fire wasn't spreading, but neither was it dying down, so everything seemed safe. A few firefighters walked near the epicenter. At that very moment, a huge explosion occurred. A fireball with a radius of dozens of meters erupted. Onlookers were frightened and began to run away. It's hard to believe, but fortunately, no one was killed, even though the firefighters were right at the center of the explosion. 6 people were taken to the nearest hospital, where they received medical attention. This truck was equipped with a high-speed jet engine. Flames burst from the engines, and the truck was accelerated to an impressive 531 kilometers per hour in just a few seconds. It had been speeding for a few moments before the engines were shut down and a parachute was deployed to slow the vehicle down. This is how houses are transported. This operation was carried out in Madison. A special vehicle with a large platform was needed to lift the entire house, including its foundation, without damaging it. Trees nearby even had to be cut down to make the turn. It was a true special operation to transport the house to a new location. The total weight of the house was 400 tons. The vehicle moved very slowly, at only a few dozen meters per hour. A truck was transporting 3 new ambulances. However, they weren't properly secured, and one of the vehicles slid off the platform and onto the road while the truck was in motion. The ambulance continued moving on its own for several dozen meters. Fortunately, it didn't cause any accident, and it was eventually put back onto the platform. A cement truck driver misjudged the height of the bridge and tried to drive under it. His vehicle got stuck, and it had to be pulled out with special equipment. The truck was moving quickly, so it managed to push quite deeply under the bridge. The cement mixing drum was crushed, and the road under the bridge was closed for several hours as a result. This is a road you definitely shouldn't speed on. It looks like a roller coaster, where every meter could be a real test for your car's suspension. Due to the wavy surface, cars at high speed literally bounce as if it's on a trampoline. You'll feel as if you're being tossed from side to side like on a merry-go-round. A truck driver is driving with his front wheels lifted due to the heavy load. He needed to transport a container, so he secured it and used the counterweight to maintain balance. Either he has a strong understanding of physics, or he just learned to defy them. Which video impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our new and exciting compilations. You'll find plenty of interesting videos here on our channel. See you next time.